Mark Squires, and I'm here to talk about Greek white wines. Needless to say, that's a subject matter that we're not going to exhaust in a short video. But I do get the feeling a lot of people are intimidated by Greek wines, and I think we need to start someplace. Greece is doing a wonderful job in this category. If you're the type of person who likes perky, fresh white wines, Greece is the place for you. Now, that's not all they do. Some of the Assyrtikos, one of their key varieties, for example, that can age for a long time from the good producers. Some other wines are made in a more serious style. I don't want to stereotype everything, but Greece is doing an amazing job. What you have to do, though, is learn what's happening. The islands create many different terroirs, and there are hundreds of indigenous grapes. Like Portugal, Greece has identities and terroirs of its own. Unlike Portugal, people know pretty much nothing about them. So let's start in a place where you can feel comfortable. This, whoops, knocked it over. This is from a co-op on the Samos Island in the Aegean Islands. It's called UWC Samos. This is their brand, High Peaks. This co-op makes wonderful Muscat. They make dry Muscat. They make Vinsanto style Muscat. They make late harvest Muscat. They make lots of Muscats. This is their basic dry Muscat. It's just wonderful. I could knock this back all summer long, and it's really inexpensive too. You should really give this a try. And Muscat at 12% alcohol is something you can be familiar with. It's a good starting place. Then you'll see a lot of Greek wineries like Alpha Estate are making Sauvignon Blancs, and they're doing a really good job with that too. But now let's get into what really mystifies people about Greece. Here's a grape called Robola. The producer here is Gentilini. They make a couple of them. This is their basic unoaked Robola. They also make a cellar selection from older vines that has a little bit of oak on it. I really like this grape a lot. Can I tell you this is going to be one of the great grapes of the world? Not yet. For one thing, there's only a couple of estates actually making it. I think they're both doing a pretty good job. Robola is the standard bearer and the one everybody talks about with Gentilini. But they have a lot to prove. In the meantime, Gentilini is making some really nice Robola. Why don't you try some? It's something different. It's not bizarre. It's not eccentric. It's just a nice, solid, fresh white wine with focus that should age nicely for a few years. Then we get into the subject that has become hot. I hope I've helped a little with that. Assyrtiko. This producer, yeah, it's more or less pronounced Gai'a, just kind of like yeah. One thing it's not pronounced as, Gai'a, although that's what it looks like on the English label. It's all Greek to me, and really, you just got to move past that. This is their trademark blend, the Falasitas. It's my favorite of their wines. They make several too. They make a wild ferment with some wood. They make a heavier oaked version as well that is often exceptional and unfortunately not imported. But this is their basic unoaked Santorini. This gives you everything you want. When you see, by the way, a wine just called Santorini, it means it's Assyrtiko, but dominated and mostly Assyrtiko. And a lot of people are making 100% Assyrtikos. This is 100% Assyrtiko. Assyrtiko is a great grape. It can be steely, it can deliver minerality, whatever that means, and it can really make you feel like you've got a white wine that's solid, yet fresh, something that can age, yet be consumed young. Falasitas as a style gives you a lot of good acidity, and yet it's also approachable young. One of the major competitors here, Sigalas, those are really concentrated. Those could use a couple years of age before you break into them. And the nice thing for the basic Santorini is it's hard to spend more than $30 even if you try. And you don't even have to spend that much. This is another famous estate on the island, Argyros. Argyros is a really good producer too. This is just their basic Assyrtiko. It's not their entry level, but it's one step up. And yet, this is really inexpensive. You can probably get this on the street under 20 bucks. It also ages well. It has solidity. It has that fresh zing and zest. But it has the depth and concentration to hold up to food too. For the price, this is a really nice summer wine. You don't have to be in any hurry to drink it. You'll notice it comes in a screw cap, which I almost think is a little unfortunate, ignoring all the closure debate issues, and we don't have time for that digression. What you get here is a sort of sense that it's not taken as seriously, and yet this shows really well for the price. It's a nice deal. Another grape, since everybody seems to know Assyrtiko, they don't know Moschofilero. Moschofilero has more of that steely minerality, I think, in many respects, than people attribute to Assyrtiko. I really like how Moschofilero shows. It's a lighter styled grape. It's not as concentrated. It's not likely to age as well. What it does do, though, is give you that fresh, crisp, elegant feel with a lot of minerality, and when it finishes, it has more persistence and substance, at least the better ones, than you give it credit for. So, this is from George Scoras, who is one of my more favorite producers with it. This is his Wild Yeast, his new brand, Salto. There's only been a couple vintages of this, and as you see, this will get the same screw cap perception. Don't be afraid of that. Given the wild yeast, this is a little different than his normal Moschofilero. I think it's often a little more elegant. But if you like wines in this style, boy, you can just knock this back all summer long. In terms of aging, I think most Moschos aren't made to age. They're not expected to age as long as the Assyrtikos. But the better made ones, you know, I've seen them 4 or 5 years old. They're just fine. That doesn't mean they keep improving. It doesn't mean you should risk them. Some of the things Sigalas is doing with Assyrtiko, for example, those wines should easily last 10 years. And frankly, I think a lot of them these days are more likely to last 15 or 20. But in any event, you can buy this for this summer, you can buy it for next summer, or the summer after. It should do just fine. This is the Celopos Blanc de Gris 2010 Moschofilero. This raises some additional issues that I think have become a little controversial in some quarters, because this has a little oak on it. Oak on Assyrtiko occasionally draws some fire and protest, but I have to tell you, I've had so many fine oaked Assyrtikos from people like Sigalas and Argyros of late. You know, they really make a case for it, and those wines will be wonderful food matchups. They really start to begin to get a sort of white burgundy feel to them. Moschofilero, though, as we were saying, is a bit of a lighter style grape. It's much more controversial. I mean, this is only 12%. They're sticking oak on it. What's going to happen here? It is surprisingly good. I really like this a lot. One thing I will say with this, although this comes in a more serious, powerful style that makes you think it will age better, I'm always concerned with how the oak will integrate as these wines go along. I have had some at 4, 5, 6 years where it seemed to me the oak had taken over the wine. But I'll tell you, in the first couple of years, this really makes a case for oak and Moschofilero. Ouch. I didn't spill the Malaguzia. Alpha Estate is one of my favorite Greek wineries, if you've been watching. And another grape that has been more or less revived, resurrected, but is a little more prevalent and easier to find at the moment than the Robola, is Malaguzia. I really like this. It has a certain distinctiveness to it. A lot of them tend to be just a little herbaceous, but just a little. It's not Sauvignon Blanc. And Alpha Estate makes a really nice one. They get reasonably good concentration. No Malaguzia I've ever had is going to be your biggest wine or your best ager. These are pretty much wines you want to drink in the first 1 to 3 years. But they are really friendly, fresh. I really like the taste and flavor. And I think these are going to get better and better as the wineries get older vines. Alpha State makes a really nice one. Gerovassiliou. It's all Greek to me, and you know, what can I say? It is given credit for usually doing them and resurrecting the grape. They're doing pretty nice ones as well. There are many other people now that have adopted this grape that I like a lot. But can't go wrong with Alpha State, one of Greece's fine wineries. So that's Greek wines for the moment. And believe me, we're just scratching the surface. Those are just a few examples. And please don't yell at me for my bad Greek pronunciation. It's impossible. Au revoir. The Greek speaks very good French. Bye.